everyone! With spring right around the corner, I know that I have felt myself wanting to spring clean everything. The more that I've done this over the years, I've realized that we tend to focus on our physical spaces and less so on our digital devices and our digital lives. But our digital lives are playing larger and larger roles in our lives now. So I wanted to share some ways that I have found to be really helpful when it comes to decluttering my digital life. The first few things I'm going to be sharing are changes that you can make today. And these are all really great first steps that you can take if you want to shift your behavior. The first thing is removing things from your phone, your laptop, whatever device it is that you don't need, and really starting to reshape your vision of what your devices are. For me, I removed games and services that I really don't need and that I don't use that often. This shift was really about looking at my phone and my laptop as a tool and not so much as an entertainment device. And there have been times where I've felt that I have lived more online than I have offline, and I didn't want that to be the case anymore. So I decided that I want my devices to be mostly tools and a very, very, very small percentage to be entertainment, whether it means going on social media and looking at a couple posts or going on Twitter and reading a few tweets. I didn't want to completely lose the entertainment aspect of it because I didn't want this to be just a joyless experience, but I did feel like I was too reliant on my phone and my laptop for too many things. And now I mostly use my phone and my laptop for communication, and I use my phone for research. So if I'm out and I need to find something, I'll use my phone for navigation. And even then, I've really tried to be intentional about learning New York City on my own and not having to use my phone for every single place that I go to. But those are the main ways that I use my phone, and that has definitely been reflected in my screen time reports that I get on Sundays. I have learned that I tend to spend about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours on my phone per day, and most of that is using my phone as a tool. Another thing that has been huge for me is turning off notifications, because throughout the day I would just be bombarded with notifications from Instagram, from Twitter, text messages, emails, like various apps that I was using, news reports, and it was so incredibly distracting. So I basically turned off all of my notifications except for text messages and phone calls. And basically that allows me to have focused time, whether I'm working or just living my life. And I don't constantly feel this urge in the back of my mind to pick up my phone and check messages every time I see something pop up on my phone or every time my phone buzzes. And that doesn't mean that I'm ignoring everything. It means that I have to be intentional about seeking these messages and these interactions out. So I will set aside time to check my Instagram DMs and to answer comments. I will set aside specific time to answer emails. And that makes it feel less crazy and less overwhelming. Carving out this intentional time means that I'm more likely to leave when I'm finished, instead of just sticking around and scrolling through things and getting lost and falling into a mindless vortex and then not feeling good and just going deeper and deeper and deeper into those feelings and feeling stuck. The last one is something that I have been practicing for quite a while now, and this is not letting tech into my bedroom. So I do not use my laptop in my bedroom. I don't use my phone in my bedroom, and I really try to keep my bedroom a sacred space. So all of my devices essentially have their own spaces to go to sleep at night, and I will plug them in so they can charge, and that feels really good for me. I have at least 1 to 2 hours in the morning where I am not on any kind of device, and that feels so incredibly freeing and also grounding because I'm able to connect with myself and the world around me. Now we're gonna move into the changes that you can make over time. And these are really about the shifts that are happening internally. The first big internal shift that happened for me was not sharing everything online all the time. A big part of my job is sharing my thoughts, pieces of my life, things that I think, things that I've learned, things that I love, things that I don't like. It is really scary to sit here and say that I am not going to share everything all the time, and that's not what I want to do, and that's not what makes me feel good. And you know, I learned this over the course of basically a decade. This took a really, really long time for me to learn because I felt like I had to be sharing everything all the time in order for people to like me. But what I had to come to terms with is that sharing everything all the time didn't make me feel fulfilled. I did not feel creative because I felt like I had to keep up with what everybody else was doing. I was worried about what you guys would think about what I was making, and I didn't have any time to reflect on my own life, my own experiences, and what I want to be making creatively. What I've learned by not sharing everything all the time is that this isn't about building walls and hiding who I am. It's really about being more thoughtful and intentional about what I am sharing when I do want to share. I haven't been posting on Instagram stories every single day, but I feel like when I do share, I have something to say, and I have something to say that I care about or I think is just really interesting. By setting boundaries, I have actually wanted to share more. And that doesn't mean more in quantity, it means more in intimacy. I am more willing to be vulnerable because I know what the reason is behind it. I know what I want to share, why I want to share it, and it makes me feel more daring in what I'm willing to say because I have time to reflect. I have time to experience my life with people that I love. Those are the periods where I have difficult conversations with people that inspire me to make a video out of it. Those are the times where I'm questioning my own practices and like wondering, well, why do I have to shave the armpit hair underneath my arms? That has felt so stimulating to me. That has made me feel connected to myself and more deeply connected to my work and to all of you. It's really about reconnecting with yourself and what you want to be sharing. The next change is using social media actively instead of passively. And this is similar to using social media intentionally and carving out those spaces. There is evidence now that using social media in an active way can be a really positive experience because you know what you're setting out to do. You are more likely to be productive in whatever it is that you've set out to do, and then you walk away from it when you're finished, as opposed to passively using social media and consuming a lot of different images, and then you start falling into despair because you start comparing yourself to other people and other work that you're seeing, and that is more likely to lead you into a place of depression and feeling like you're stuck and feeling like you have wasted time, which then makes you feel worse. And it's just this cycle that keeps going and going and going and going. I know exactly what that feels like. I know when I start feeling bad when I'm passively using social media, but it is so hard to break out from that because I don't want to acknowledge the yucky feelings that I'm feeling. I'd rather just stay there looking at more and more content, but the more I do that, you know, 2 hours later, I'll look up and just be like, well, I just wasted 2 hours. I don't feel any more creative. I don't feel any more inspired. I just feel worse, I feel stuck, and I feel really down about myself. And now that I have been more intentionally, actively using social media, it feels like such a great experience. This last one probably seems like a no-brainer, but I'm gonna say it anyway. It is using your devices less and doing more in real life. And I think implementing the other shifts really helps to naturally get you to this point. I have found that to be true for myself, but I think there's also an element where I have to be intentional about just living my life in the world, face to face with other people and things. This doesn't mean that I don't use my devices at all. It means that I am using the practices that I previously talked about, like just using my phone mostly for communication to like arrange meetings with other people face to face. So, you know, it could be going out to brunch or dinner. I am also now part of a book club. And I know people are thinking, but what if something is important? Like, what if something comes up? What if there's like an emergency? What if XYZ? What I have discovered is that in my life, most messages that I am receiving, 99.9% of the messages that I receive are not urgent. They are not emergencies. And I was thinking about this last night. How many messages in a year do I get that's an actual emergency, and what actually constitutes as an emergency? And I thought about it and I was like, unless somebody is dead, dying, hurt, or sick, it's not really an emergency. And that doesn't really happen that often. I think for me, it was really about putting into perspective and understanding what is actually urgent and what is actually an emergency versus, you know, this feeling of what I'm told is urgent and feeling like I constantly have to be available all the time, because those things are completely different. I really hope that you found this video to be helpful, and something that I really want to say is that my way is not necessarily going to be your way. And again, this is not about perfection. This is not about creating a super rigid routine that is not open to any kind of fluidity. Because as our lives change, as the world changes, as the digital world changes very, very quickly, more quickly than ever before, we really have to be open to letting these things ebb and flow and shift and, you know, just live in flux, because I think that's how life is just meant to be. What I really want to encourage here is openness and asking questions, asking yourself, well, why am I doing that? Cultivating a space of awareness and curiosity about your behaviors, and taking a step to just try something different, to take a step in a different direction and see how that feels. That's really what this is all about, and it's all a process that reveals itself to you slowly over time. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because this month I have more videos that are all about just spring cleaning your life, and I'm really looking forward to sharing them. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys later. Bye.